Good evening, good afternoon, hello, whenever you're watching this, but if you're watching live, good evening. And today I'm bringing you my bi-weekly nutrition in the news, where I find things of interest, whether it's research studies, things that have been in the media that I think is of relevance to you. And today I've identified a really important article in the Lancet, which has been reviewing the impact of supplements on mood and improving mood through the use of supplementation. Now, we know we're in the middle of a mental health crisis that's got significantly worse since the pandemic. And the number of people considered to have depression globally is about 264 million people. I think that's probably way under the numbers that are probably around today. So the Lancet study looked back over many different individual studies and pulling together the research to find out whether there are any particular supplements that can really help with depression. And they found 3 in particular that didn't really surprise me, and I'll explain why. And I'm also going to come on and add on a 4th one as well, based on another study. But the 3 they talked about were particular essential fats, EPA, DHA, vitamin D, and probiotics. So let's look at each one of those in turn. And this study was only published in May of this year, so it's very, very current. So starting with EPA DHA, 8 out of 12 clinical studies that they identified found that these particular essential fats improved the clinical scores to do with depression. They did use particularly high dosages of these fats. Now, these fats, known as EPA DHA, the ones we commonly think about are omega-3, but I often mention how omega-3 as a supplement doesn't convert well to EPA DHA, and it's the EPA DHA fats that are the ones that are particularly important that we need to get more of. They use quite high amounts. They use between 1 to 9 daily doses, or in these different studies, between 1 to 9 daily doses of up to 2 grams of EPA in a dose and up to 0.8 grams of DHA, which is quite a lot if you multiply that by 9. Now, these are available as fish oils, as a supplement. Of course, you can get these fish in high amounts, these fats in oily fish. So this is your salmon, mackerel, sardines, herring, also found in a little bit of trout, and also found in tuna, but watch fresh tuna, not tin tuna. You find it in fresh tuna, but watch it because our seas are quite polluted, and the tuna, being such a big, large fish at the bottom of the food chain, tends to be very high in mercury and PCBs and other heavy metals. So when we choose a supplement, you can get very, very pure EPA DHA because the good companies are going to screen the fish that they use to make sure there are no heavy metal burdens in the quality of the fish that they use. So what are my thoughts on this? Well, we know that EPA DHA is responsible for 60% of the brain. We know we need these fats for the structure of the brain and for the functioning of the brain. So it seems to be not surprising really that if we are depleted in these fats, it's going to have an influence on depression. Now, as I said, these were very, very high dosages used in this study. They did say it's between 1 and 9 dosages of this, but typically when I'm recommending fish oils to clients, I recommend about 2 grams combined EPA DHA. That's not excess, that's not toxic to the body. And often when we take these, they come with vitamin E that helps to act as an antioxidant. It helps to protect the fats from having a rancid effect and creating free radicals in the body. So 2 grams typically of EPA DHA is absolutely fine. And do remember that these fats, which I go on about a lot, are important not just for depression, not just for brain health, but they have so many effects across the whole body, wide-reaching effects, that it's very useful to be thinking about supplementing these, particularly if you're not eating, say, 3 portions of oily fish a week. Now, the second one in the study was vitamin D. 15 studies that were looked at showed benefits of improving depression. And the dosages, because this is all about supplementation, was between 2,000 IU daily up to 50,000 IU as a weekly dose. Now, again, like those EPA DHA fats, vitamin D has far-reaching effects across the whole body, not just the brain. But the brain has vitamin D receptors. So they found that vitamin D for depression was very, very helpful. Now, my thoughts on this is be careful with really, really high dosages. 50,000 IU of vitamin D3 is very, very high. And the reason why we need to be careful is because vitamin D is known to enhance the absorption and uptake of calcium from the gut into the bone. So when we're looking and supporting our bones, these days calcium supplements come with vitamin D, and that's all well and good. But if you're supplementing 50,000 IU of vitamin D, the chances are you're going to end up absorbing far too much calcium, and the body can't use all that calcium, can't use it all to take it up into bones, or we may not have the cofactors for it to pass into bone. And it has to go somewhere in the body. So calcium can be deposited in arteries, can be a factor in heart disease. It can be deposited in joints. It can be a factor in joint pain. It can be deposited in kidneys and in the gallbladder and lead to kidney stones and the gallstones. So we have to be careful with the amount of vitamin D we take. So my recommendation is to start with a vitamin D test. It's very cheap to buy this. You can buy it online. I recommend going to vitamindtest.org. It's actually an NHS department that offer the test privately. Last time I looked, £29 for a finger prick spot test. It's very, very cheap and very quick and easy. So quick and easy to do and quick to get results. Then you've got your baseline, and from your baseline we're then able to calculate the sort of dosing strategy, because the aim we're looking for in terms of the amount of vitamin D we want in the blood is between 100 and 150 nmol per litre. You know, just remember the figures 100 to 150 if you're in the UK. It's a different measurement in America. And once we've got that, we can start to think about dosing. If your levels are in that sort of ballpark or 80 and above, then I tend to think that 1,000 IU is a very, very good dose to be using all year round. 1,000 IU of vitamin D3. The NHS website probably still says 400 IU. It's not enough. I've spoken to a clinical senior pharmacist who said to me actually that they are recommending 1,000 IU. But we do need to think about taking it all year round, particularly when we live in the Northern Hemisphere. We don't get it in the winter, and we certainly don't get enough exposure on our skin of vitamin D from the sun in the summer months. The third one that was found to show benefits for depression was probiotics. When we look at probiotics, they found that 5 out of 8 studies showed improvement of those clinical scores for depression. They looked at various types of bacterial strains, beneficial bacteria, and they identified 2 main genus ones, which were Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium. That doesn't surprise me. These are 2 of the most well-studied strains of bacteria that we know. They have different sort of species, but the 2 genus, Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium, you will commonly find in your main probiotic supplements that are on the market today. Whether you go to Boots or Holland and Barrett, you will find those types of strains. They looked at various dosages starting from 1 billion colony forming units. That's how they measure probiotics, the strength of them. So they looked at 1 billion and above on a daily amount, and they showed benefits. Now, my thoughts of this on it doesn't surprise me at all. It's completely undisputed, the link between the gut and the brain. Two-way flow of information, this enteric nervous system influencing each other. So the chances of our gut bacteria having an influence over depression in the brain really doesn't surprise me at all. And more research is showing the links between the 2 and other brain conditions as well. The 2 main bacterial strains are used, are 2 of the main ones we know that have been highly studied. And that, you know, they're part of what a healthy gut should include in high amounts. And I would typically recommend 20 billion CFUs, colony forming units. Thinking about those two main strains, those two genus, they might have different types of species involved, but that's the amount you're looking for. If I was starting out on a probiotic, I'd be thinking about taking it for 3 months initially if I haven't done any in-depth stool testing. And 3 months is going to give you a really nice maintenance hit of good beneficial bacteria that could be helpful if you are suffering from a low mood or even depression. So those are the 3 ones identified in the Lancet study, but I've added on a 4th one here, which wasn't in the study because of its link to depression, and that's curcumin or curcumin. It's pronounced in different ways, not in the Lancet study, but in 2021, last year, a study published in the Journal of Affective Disorders, which looks at brain disorders, and they found that a special formulation of curcumin reduces symptoms of depression. And in the study, they used 500 milligrams of this special formula twice a day, so 1,000 milligrams a day, and it was given to individuals already identified as having clinical depression. And after 8 weeks, those individuals reported significant improvements to their symptoms of depression and anxiety or anxiety compared to those in the placebo group, i.e. taking something but actually it wasn't having any beneficial effect to them at all. Now, curcumin is known to be very poorly absorbed from the gut, and the formulation that they use, something that was known as BCM 95, and I looked at this, and it's a special formulation that's been found to be well absorbed. It has special curcuminoids. These the effective part of the curcumin spice in the rhizome, in the root of the turmeric plant, together with some turmeric essential oils. I also like another formulation, fat soluble. We know that curcumin likes to be linked together with fat. That really enhances absorption from the gut, which is why turmeric used in cooking, cooked in olive oil, for example, or coconut oil, is going to help the absorption of the turmeric when we're cooking it. So I like formulations that are what we call in a long vida formula, has been found to be very good as well. So my thoughts are that a daily intake of 1,000 milligrams of curcumin isn't excessive. Often I'm recommending 500 milligrams, but 1,000's not excessive. And how does curcumin, why is it likely to help depression? You know, they got really good results in that study. Well, some newer research has found that curcumin, well, we know, so not recently found, but we know this spice has highly anti-inflammatory actions in the body. Compared to anti-inflammatory medications, they block both the inflammatory and the anti-inflammatory pathways in the body. And we know with curcumin, it affects the, helps the anti-inflammatory pathway. Sorry, it blocks the inflammatory pathway without affecting the anti-inflammatory pathway. So they have this very well recognized anti-inflammatory action in the body. And some more recent studies, growing evidence to show that there are links between depression and inflammation. So if there's an inflammatory part to depression, then obviously giving people curcumin as a high dose supplement, that's why people found it effective for their clinical scores and help their depression. And to me, that also explains why those essential fats, EPA and DHA, could also be effective. Not only are they a key part of the structure and function of the brain, but we also know those fats go on to have anti-inflammatory effects in the body. They convert to what we know as anti-inflammatory messengers. They're sending out messages around the body, telling the body not to be inflamed. So 4 different types of supplements to consider: EPA, DHA, thinking about up to 2 grams a day; vitamin D3, thinking about 1,000 IU; probiotics, 20 billion of really good strains, lactobacillus, bifidobacterium strains, 20 billion, possibly over a 3-month period. And thinking about curcumin, 500 milligrams, the study used up to 1,000 milligrams a day. And together, you know, whether you use one of these or several of these, they may all have a beneficial effect if you feel like you've got a low mood, or showing early signs, clinical signs of depression, these could all have a beneficial effect in the body. So I hope you found that interesting. You will of course find this on my YouTube channel, Peyton Principles Natural Health. This will be saved into my channel, into my group here to watch later on. If you're not on my email list, I do share information like this every Friday. So if you're interested, do email me, caroline@peytonprinciples.com, so I can add you to my mailing list to make sure you don't miss valuable information like this. And I'll be back next Tuesday with another Principles of Good Health main theme to talk about. And do remember, if there's ever anything you'd like me to talk about, drop a message to me in the comments below, and I'll certainly bear it in mind. Thanks for watching and have a great week. Bye.